In this video, I'm going to make the Warframe AI even dumber, so you can turn off your brain when you play, while doing AoE damage that uses no ammo, as you're armor stripping, while you're passively regenerating energy, and at the same time, taking crowd control synergies to the next level, to even crowd control Eximus units. What's good, folks? It's NightmareFrame here with a new Warframe video, coming at you with a new updated crowd control DPS Wisp build. Before I start, I'm going to ask something very hard for the Warframe community, and that is to pay attention. Come on guys, it's 2023, you can do it. This video is an updated version of my Resonating Wisp, which I released 2 years ago, where I went up against level 6k and I wasn't even trying. However, DE nerfed one thing about it. Oh yeah, the infamous N-word. And that nerf was Resonator picking up Wisp motes, because in their eyes, that was way too powerful. But no worries, with the recent changes to focus schools, new Arcanes, Amalgam, and Parazon Mods, this build is going even further beyond. This build can be used for survival, mobile defense, interception, defense, and even defection, because that's the thing. But before digging deep, first, let's learn how her kit works. Wisp has 3 useful abilities: her Reservoirs, Will-O-Wisp, and Breach Surge. Reservoirs, her first ability, which grants you 3 different motes that provide you with unique buffs. They have to be cast separately to stack all 3, but I am using the Augment Fused Reservoirs to cast all 3 at once. The red mote is the Vitality mode, which provides you with a health multiplier, increasing your health pool, and health regen over time. Blue is the Shock mode. The Shock mode has a 100% status chance that periodically stuns 5 enemies and procs the electric status effect, which pairs well with Condition Overload and Archon Stretch for some easy passive energy regen. The green Haste mode grants you an increased movement and attack speed. Her second ability, Will-O-Wisp, sends out an ethereal clone that draws away enemy fire and attention, and this clone is another extension to the cast of your Breach Surge, her third ability. And double tapping the ability will make you invulnerable for 3 seconds, but it doesn't cleanse you of status effects, so not like Rolling Guard, and it can pick up the mote effects. So if it picks up the Haste and Shock mode, it'll fly faster and shock enemies around it. But if you want a faster moving Will-O-Wisp, just hold down the ability to have a faster moving clone and then let go to teleport to where it ended up at. Breach Surge, her third ability, you send out sparks of energy that expand and latch onto enemies' faces. These sparks only affect enemies within line of sight. Enemies struck with this ability will be stunned and blinded, and damaging enemies affected by the surge will take the damage you dealt to those enemies and multiply it to then spread the affliction to nearby enemies, and the new enemies take the multiplied surge spark damage. The blinded enemies are susceptible to stealth multiplier damage, so the scaling potential is quite high. Gas and pretty much any AoE damage have amazing synergy with Breach Surge that re-trigger the surge sparks on the enemies' heads, as gas is a DOT that headshots. The surge sparks that lash out to nearby enemies deal radiation damage with 20% status chance. The damage multiplier and status chance both scale of power strength. The great thing about this ability is that it also blinds Eximus units, even with their overguard on. Unfortunately, it does not stun them. And if you're far enough, you can teleport to your motes with Breach Surge. This is possible as long as your crosshairs are aiming at the motes. And since I won't be using her useless ability, the fourth one, I replaced it with another layer of crowd control that pacifies enemies, and that is the HELMINTH Ability, Resonator, from Octavia. It's an invulnerable ball that emits a charming aura, which halts any enemy aggression. Its only weakness is Overguard, which isn't even a problem here, with all the other CCs that we have stored. This build requires 2 Amber Shards for the casting speed increase, because Wisp without Natural Talent feels like a slug, and I won't be using Natural Talent and instead replacing them with these shards, and the last 3 slots can be whatever shards you want. I'll be running a Decaying Dragon Key to lower my shields, so if and when my shields break, you can replenish the shields quicker to reset the max shield gates. And the great thing is that you won't be needing Brief Respite in the aura. You're free to use whatever aura you want. And I'll only be using 1 Augur mod to convert energy spent into shields. For the first time outside of EIDOLONs, I'm using Parazon Mods Synergy. Starting off with Blood for Energy, this gives you 50% chance to drop energy orbs when you mercy kill enemies, and this will be more effective during your engagement on Xmas units. And to add insult to injury, when you mercy kill those Xmas units, you blind enemies within an 18-meter radius. But once you're done with the mercy kill, you now have a 100% chance to gain 50% additional power strength on your next ability cast. For the focus schools, I am using Xeneric. This offers so much additional synergy that can crowd control Xmas and provide you with more power strength and energy. Energy Pulse is going to be a nice passive to increase how much energy you get from an orb pickup. Wellspring is the operator's first ability. When cast, it drops an aura. When inside or passing through it, will grant you energy regen. Casting the operator's first ability again expands the aura, but now grants 20% additional power strength to Warframes who are standing inside the aura. Inner Might will have you not cost any energy on the next ability cast. This only takes effect every 1 minute. And you shouldn't even be worried about refreshing your shields for shield gating, because you do have Will-O-Wisp and Rolling Guard. Temporal Drag is the operator's second ability that throws a wave that slows down enemies by 80%, and this also affects Xmas units and stacks with cold procs. For the operator Arcanes, I have Magus Anomaly to drag in enemies for additional CC, gas AoE, and breed surge damage. And finally, Magus Lockdown, only used for acolytes to hold them still so you can just destroy them because they're annoying peasants and they run away from you more than anything. No way. No, what are you doing? What are you doing there? What are you doing there? What are you doing there? Oh, you gotta move a bit back. He's still affected by glow. Never. He teleported. Son of a fish, bro. Alright, now that you have an idea of what I'll be using, let's get on with the build. In the aura, I have Growing Power. This grants me 25% power strength whenever I proc a status effect on a target when not using abilities, which will be easily done with my primer and melee. Prime Sure-Footed for the knockdown and stagger resistance, because spending less time on your butt is a huge DPS increase. If you do not have this mod, use Handspring instead, or even Pain Threshold. Range at 265% with Archon Stretch, Augur Reach, and Overextended. This increases my Shock Mode reach and my Resonator Charm radius to 39.75 meters, and Breed Surge Blind radius to 47 meters. And the Surge radius will be extended even further with Will-O-Wisp. Archon Stretch is a nice synergy with Wisp Shock Modes, as it regenerates energy on enemies affected by an electrical damaging ability. With Overextended, I now end up with lowered power strength, so to counteract that, I'm using Blind Rage, and now I have 139% power strength. Pair Blind Rage, Growing Power, Molt Augmented at max stacks, and Hardened Wellspring, I end up with 244% power strength, and of course an additional 50% from our Power Drain Parazon mod. Prime Continuity for the decent duration on my abilities, and Flow for the large energy pull. If you use 3 blue Archon shards for the energy max, you can replace Flow with Equilibrium for even more energy income. Fuse Reservoirs to cast all 3 modes in a single cast. And finally, Arcane Eruption for the additional crowd control. Pick up energy orbs and knock down enemies within a 30-meter radius that requires no line of sight and has no cooldown. Moving on to the DPS and weapon portion of the video. My main DPS weapon is a Dagger, paired with the Amalgam Argonac Metal Auger. This mod allows each hit with daggers to armor strip a target by 6 armor. This is a base armor strip and not scaled armor, so it works different from corrosive projection and similar to shattering impact. Again, daggers, not dual daggers, meaning it is a singular one-handed weapon. However, these hits by daggers also take into account the damage over time that they deal. So any DOT works with this, but there are 2 elemental DOTs that are AoE and remain in the area. And that's electric and gas. Both are instantaneous procs and immediately start dealing DOT and proccing within the area. However, gas is interesting as it scales even more if there are a lot of enemies and if they're grouped up, as each hit that procs gas creates clouds, and if the enemy dies, they leave their gas cloud behind. And additionally, gas clouds are able to headshot, pairing well with Breach Surge. Unfortunately, they do not have a headshot damage multiplier. Taking a look at the Argonac build, it only has 3 mods: Amalgam Serration for the 25% increase in sprint speed and nothing else, Amalgam Metal Auger for the Dagger armor strip, and Arrow Periphery. Damaging enemies while in the air will put 5 enemies to sleep for 3 seconds when you land. You know, just for the additional crowd control. My primer is the Epitaph to proc Viral and Heat, along with the Force, Blast, and Cold procs to reduce enemy accuracy and slow them down. And the Dagger. You can use whatever dagger you want, but I prefer my Bala Za, modded like a basic crit focus elemental damage melee with no attack speed mod, because I have 1.17 base attack speed and I get additional attack speed from the haste mode. Basically, I get a free slot. And because it's a Za, I can equip the Exodia Contagion Arcane. This Za Arcane only works with Condition Overload if it's on direct contact hits, so the AoE explosion doesn't get the bonus. The projectile has to hit a target directly. For companions, there's the one and only, and of course the most useful to use, the Panzer Volpophyla. Great for viral coom all over the enemies, and it can save you if you take a lethal hit, and because it just doesn't die. Alright folks, that has been it from this Wisp video. I hope you've enjoyed and learned something from it. If you did, please feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe for more Warframe content, streams, and so much more. Do refer to the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace.